In a world where information seems to travel at the speed of light and traffic at a snail's pace, where the agenda of those at the helm doesn't always reflect the pressures on the streets, where the rubber hits the road, where there's queue of issues needing to be interrogated in the name of speaking truth to power.
Welcome to a place at the table,
where we set the agenda,
table the issues that matter to you,
and invite you to take a seat at the table.
a place at the table where we're set to check much more than the table.
Welcome to a place at the table where we trash out tropical issues and profile solutions. Today I'm raising an issue that many overlook and are perhaps unaware of: the emancipation of man. Yes, you heard me right.
Welcome back, Yinka. The emancipation of man, this I must hear more about. Whereas I'm asking the question, who is female? And no, this isn't a trick question.
Perhaps it's a case of reading between the lines, Funke. Well, my topic isn't new. Some might say it's in your face. I'll be addressing a cancel culture.
Definitely reading between the lines, Bright. And there are certainly those who seem to have fallen outside of the lines of societal inclusion. I am saying that inclusion is a verb.
Yes, Kate, inclusion is indeed a verb. And today, I'm talking about the dystopia that's Nigeria.
Inclusion appears to be an emerging keyword for today's advocacies. Let's see how this theme unveils during the discussions. The emancipation of man. Yes, you read that right. Your ears are not deceiving you. Last month at the table, we focused on the woman. Today I want to focus on the man and the issues affecting him. You don't have to take my word for it. You only have to look at the data. According to the demographic statistics of 2022 released by the National Bureau of Statistics, the life expectancies of males in Nigeria is 55.1 years, while that of females is 57.2. This is reflective of the gender focus on women's health issues above the issues affecting men. Let's consider education data. Yes, indeed, the national enrollment of females in early childhood education, primary and secondary schools, as of 2021 in Nigeria, is more for males than females. But that does not tell the whole story. The devil is in the detail. What if I tell you that the enrollment of female students in public and private schools for early childhood, pre-primary schools exceed that of males by an average of 2% nationally since 2026? Would you be surprised? How about the fact that in the southern part of Nigeria, particularly the southeast and the south-south, the percentage of females in schools exceed males by 8% and 6% respectively? When you drill down to more detail, the percentage is as high as 11% in secondary schools. What you see here is an epidemic of illiteracy about to be unleashed on the male child in Nigeria, especially in the south-south and the southeast of the country. But nobody is talking about it. Could it be because we are so focused on the national data and not monitoring what the regional and subnational data are telling us? Can I also shock you that even though females represent 47% of enrollment for NECO and SSC exams, 75% of them, as against 69% of males, obtain 5 credits with English and maths. The reality is this: boys are not going to school, and when they are falling behind and failing at the same time. Time will not permit me to look at other data, like the percentage of human trafficking, employment data in the public and private sectors and others, all pointing to the fact that the male child is not doing well. It's time we start to focus on the male child, his health, his education, and his empowerment within the framework of an equal and fair society.
How the tables have turned.
Really?
Because growing up, more attention is paid to the boy child because he's seen as more important. The female is to be in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, be quiet, not to be, only be heard and not seen, something like that. There's a quote like that. And it is very interesting. Yes, I'm surprised that there are more females, but one thing I can tell you is that females definitely have larger brains, hence the ability to multitask. So we're not doing too badly. Power to the women is what I say.
I think for me, it's a very touchy topic because you were talking about it from where it is right now when it comes to boys and girls. But like, let's talk about it from the youth perspective, right? Like the people that have grown up to become youth. There's a lot of young men out there who are jobless. A lot of them. And it starts from what you're saying, this whole ideology that, you know, that was really big globally, where the focus was more on women. There's a lot of programs, from the MasterCard program, you know, World Bank programs that focus on empower the women, empower the women. I feel like we need to get back to the point where we need to create a balance in empowering people in general. Whether you're a boy or a girl, there should be a clear balance.
Right, for me, and I work with the girl child. Almost all the projects I have, you know, about the girl child and around issues regarding the girl child. And when I take such projects to people, they say, but what about the men? The question is, but what are you men doing for the males?
So it's a challenge for males.
It's a challenge. How are you? This is about male mentorship.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's about male mentorship. What are you doing to mentor the young boys? How are you, you know, defining masculinity to them? There is a whole noise about domestic violence, gender-based violence. How are you mentoring them and making them see the value in education? You've talked about the South and the Southeast, which is where we have a lot of apprenticeship because of the culture. Yeah. However, the basic education is needed for the men. How are we getting into these traditional groups that we have, traditional cultural groups that you'll find in Igbo land, to say, yes, go do apprenticeship, but you must pass basic education. You must have this basic education. So I'm throwing it back to you, Yinka. You men, whether in worship centers or in whichever group, whichever social groups that you are, you have to take male mentorship seriously.
I get it. Before Ireti comes in, you know, we can look at the data regards to gender when it has to do with females. And we can see that without anybody prompting us, we can see that there's a lot that we need to do in terms of gender-based violence, a lot that has to do with education, there's a lot to do with the female child in terms of their health issues and all that stuff, because the data tells us that. So, but you see, the challenge we have here is that when we look at the data, you know, it regards to some of these issues in Nigeria, the focus is on the national data. And so when the national data says, oh, girls are not doing better than boys, everybody funding focuses on that. But like I said, when you begin to drill down the data, and then you begin to look at states and subnationals and regions, there's an epidemic. There is a big problem that nobody is talking about.
I get what you're saying, because I am mother to a young man, and it is something that my son and I have talked about. But let me come back, because we don't have time. So whilst you were talking, I think you meant to say 2016 instead of 2026.
2026.
Yeah,
All right, okay.
Yes. So, and that's why the reason I said that is, if you go 2 years back, something happened. The Chibok girls, 2014. So when over 300 girls were kidnapped from their school, who were about to sit an exam, and the whole world was affected by it. And it wasn't just the Chibok girls, there were several other girls that were kidnapped by a sect that said something about education
haram.
In a region, in a zone that actually historically has not invested in female education. You can imagine what happened. International communities, everybody threw money at the problem, because why? Even if we couldn't kill all of Boko Haram, we can save our girls from being, from having their lives handicapped by these terrorists. One of the ways society fights these sort of terrorizing actions, without necessarily meaning to carry guns, is to actually fix the issue. So we took our power back as a society. Everybody threw money at girls' education. The money came also into the South, and that's why you had loads of people. But it is also important, like Funke said, when you look at what is happening with the emancipation, it's not just emancipation. Women now have more agency. They have more skills. Like Bright said, they're going higher in, what do you call it, corporate and all of that stuff. There's a lot of push towards women in tech and governance and everything. That didn't just happen. That happened over decades.
A lot of men too are designing, because once the narrative is there, everybody's trying to do the same thing to support. A lot of men
to support
too.
Women or
yeah,
men?
to support women, because that
That's
was the
what I'm
narrative.
saying, no, it's
so,
men.
so even men are actually doing a lot to support the women.
women.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think that one of the things that is key
Yeah.
is that if we don't want to wake up 25 years from now and realize that our boys are completely irrelevant in the scheme of things, we need to start that work today. Empowerment, equity, and equality can be like a seesaw or even a balancing act. Funke is up next, and she's looking at the gender issue from a different lens.
A different lens, perhaps, but when it comes to culture and identity, it boils down to who is looking through the lens. Who is female? I watched an amusement as an award meant to promote a movie quickly degenerated into an identity crisis, a cultural war, and a celebrity spat. An actress-producer had given an award for a female to a popular cross-dresser, Bobrisky, who is otherwise male, which award was presented by popular actor-producer Femi Adebayo. An actress, Dayo Amusa, angered at the brazen switch of biology, called out the presenter of the award. He responded thus, "If my success is your problem, you can never have rest of mind because I have just started." And that's where they all got my attention. Now, these are my thoughts on the saga. Femi Adebayo is a cultural ambassador who should not have accepted to present that award to Bobrisky. The notion of female that the singer Portable fought for in his recent diss song is about being a being with full mammary glands, curves, and a peculiar reproductive organ. And clearly, the winner was not female in any of this regard. It is an elevated plane, level, as we say in Nigerian parlance, where you embody the ideological root of what you stand for. It is about that old-fashioned word, authenticity. That's what it is, Femi Adebayo. Secondly, responding to criticism is an art at the level of a Netflix movie producer. Next time, let a PR person handle that for you. Culture is not only political, it is a contested space. It is one of the most critical soft power a people have. In my opinion, globalization in all its glory is the marketing of other people's culture and way of life to you so that it assumes dominance over yours. It is sometimes subtle, other times it is aggressive. Now, accepting homosexualism is an agenda being pushed by the West as a neo-cultural power tool in the new global order. The question is, what is Africa marketing to the world? I love the optics from Senegal's inauguration of our new president. The man, Faye, approached his new role and the world as a polygamist. It is a way of life in Africa, and the rest of the world should also start accepting it. As the Yoruba will say, "Teni, teni, what belongs to us is what is ours."
Omo, I tell you, I stayed off that whole saga because I was also in my own zone. But everything is not vibes. Everything is not clickbait. Everything is not for show. Femi should not have presented that award because we all know that Bobrisky is male. You denigrate the true reproductive organs of a woman by trying to give a male an award meant for a female. Maybe she wanted to get traction for her film and get people talking, but it backfired.
Yes, course.
It backfired in a way she never expected. And maybe also Dio should not have attacked Femi. You know, Femi was wrong. He should have said, no, now. He's a man like me. But Dio should not also have attacked Femi because he's not the owner of the film. The owner of the film, in all ramifications, is the one that should bear the brunt of all of this. I won't be watching the film anytime soon. Thank you.
What do you think, Bright?
Let's go to...
I'm actually waiting for Ireti's
Oh, wow.
Everybody's waiting for
Ireti.
Ireti.
Then over to you, Ireti.
I'll go to Ireti, please.
You know, but before she comes, I watched the whole drama, and I was wondering, have we come full circle as society to accept that now in Nigeria, everybody can own their own pronouns, okay? So if I decide that I want to be a she, and I want to be identified and called as a she, then that's what I should be called, you know? And that then reflects in everything that I do. And to be honest with you, watching this young man, okay, that we now call a man.
You do. Okay, he's a man, yes.
But he told the court he's a man.
Well, until recently.
Yeah, he told the court.
I actually felt that he had gone through some kind of, gender change.
He has
operation.
actually, you're wrong. You say, you cannot say because he stood in front of a judge that is under jurisdiction. So, and I don't want to go into what my advocacy is, but it goes in there. So I'm going to try and stick to yours, and then I'll correct things later. That award, the owner of the film came on national TV and said, we deliberately gave it to Bobrisky. You see, you choose not to mention her name. I will, because she's human, like you and I, irrespective of the grounds that you count her as, right? That woman, the director, the producer, she came on national TV. She said, we gave that award to Bobrisky because we wanted to use it as a controversial way to get publicity on our film, right? So first and foremost, it wasn't Bobrisky that was querying your womanhood or these mammary glands, right? Focus on the person that did it. Because when push comes to shove, Bobrisky was as much a victim of that idiocy that they were trying to use as PR to promote probably one of the worst films anybody has watched so far, right? They used her. Now, Femi, I don't think anybody should be taking Femi Adebayo apart, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
If Kate did a film, and I go there, and she said, Sisoge, please, we've already picked the winner. I just need you to help us give it. I'm not going to ask why you're giving that person, because I'm just doing you a favor. I'm just doing a favor to my friend, my mentee, my whatever. The producer said she is mentee to Femi Adebayo. So what did Femi do
Where do
wrong?
you draw the line?
Of
Where
what?
do you draw the line?
Which line? Which line?
Where do you draw the line?
Which line?
Funke said that
it's
the
an award for
Bobrisky said she's a
female.
male. I'm sorry, and you said duress. What duress? Was there a gun pointed?
I didn't say nobody
on
was
his head?
giving it to.
No, you
I
said
he
you
was
said
used.
you said in court that he said he was male.
Oh,
and you
that's
said
in
under
court, that's
duress.
in court.
How is it
I don't
under
wanna
duress?
talk
You
about
are
that
putting your
because-
hand on a Bible or a Quran
No.
to say the truth
It
and
is
nothing
under
but the
duress.
truth. So own what you are.
It
Don't
is
come
under
and
duress.
say
It
you
is
are
under
male
duress.
in the court, you are
It is
female
under
outside.
duress.
So the reason why I didn't want to start, because I needed to have a better understanding of what's going on, because I haven't seen the video, I haven't seen any of it.
Oh,
right?
it's old, yeah.
Yes.
3 weeks, 5 weeks.
I don't know about it that much. But one thing I know, and that's one thing that I think is the foundation of all of this thing, is at what point do we put our integrity over hype?
Yeah.
At
Yes.
what point?
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Like, at what point
Yep.
where you know, like, if you produce a great movie, if the movie is amazing,
Yeah.
it would sell itself. Why do you have to create a controversy that literally affects people's perspective, people's career, people's lifestyle, just because you want to get more people to watch the movie? There are millions of young people, there are millions of children on social media that would see this thing and be like, oh, okay, I'm not supposed to be a girl, but what's going on? These things have effects. People don't understand the power of social media. These things have effects. Let's think beyond making money and making profit think about how our actions affect the lives of people.
Or society. You know, Ireti, the point I'm making is, you said rightly, and I was not afraid to call Eniola's name. It just didn't matter because I was looking at the other people who should have known better. Yes. You had said that Eniola is the owner of the film. Eniola, you said, is a mentee to Femi.
That's what she said.
Femi should know better. The mentor should know better.
Exactly. Call her like, Madam,
you shouldn't be railroaded into doing what is not authentically you. And just as Bright has said, when you're in that kind of, let me use that level again, that plane, you have more responsibility.
You have responsibility.
You're meddling with people.
Much is given,
much
is expected. Yeah. Right? So let me tell you why I said under duress. And perhaps duress is not the right word, but in front of the law. We do not have a law for transgender or against transgender in Nigeria.
Noted.
That is the first thing. Number one. Number two, in Nigeria, the gender which you are born at is the gender you remain at in the eyes of the law for the rest of your life.
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria, that's why I said in Nigeria. So in front of that judge, there was already a sheet, a charge sheet, that said Idris Olarinwaju Okuneye, male. So of course, all that judge, and it's a female judge, by the way, all she was doing was reaffirming to all of Nigeria, Namelio. Do you understand? That's what I'm saying. Bob Risky had no choice but to say male because the Nigerian law, and I'm not saying they should change it. That is not the context of this conversation. The law in Nigeria, the gender you are born at is the gender you die at.
The power to define culture should rest with its people, right? Right?
Try. I'm set to speak on another culture. However, it's called the council culture. Good evening, folks. Imagine this. One day, you're a hero. The next day, you're a zero. All because of one tweet, or one comment, or one moment caught on camera. That's the power of what we're unpacking today, called council culture. A practice as old as time, but supercharged in the age of Twitter and Instagram, where being cancelled can mean global rejection overnight. Let's break it down with a story. Picture Ayo, a regular guy, a famous comedian. One day, he tweets a joke, something he thought was funny, but this time, it doesn't land well. One person calls him out, then 10 more people join in. And before you know it, it's not just a few people, but thousands and thousands and thousands of people. His show are getting cancelled. Endorsement deal dried up. From just one tweet, Ayo's world turned upside down. Swift and sometimes merciless. Now, think about this. Great figures in history faced cancellation too. Yes, even Jesus was persecuted for his belief, an early form of cancel culture. Fast forward to today's celebrities, politicians, influencers. Is every misstep, every mistake worth a lifetime of penalty? Should Ayo's entire career dissolves over one bad joke? Everyone is calling out everyone. Just last week, a wild accusation flew around about messaging with no proof. Someone claimed her child belongs to another famous singer. Imagine that, without evidence. Rumors can ruin your life and your career. But where do we draw the line between freedom of speech and and cyberbullying. And where does this leave our leaders, our laws? In this digital age, how do we protect one another, not just from crime, but from trial of social media? When does Ayo get to say, okay guys, I've served my time? When do we, as society, forgive? To wrap this up, let's remember, he who is without sin should cast the first stone. We've all got our secrets, our mistakes. So the next time you quickly try to join a council crowd, pause. Think about Ayo. Think about Mercy. What if the table turned on you? What story would they tell about you? Kate, what story would they tell about you?
Silence.
While I do well.
No, I just it's the herd mentality that breeds this cancel culture. There's a thin line between lies and the truth. And we all know that lies travel so fast, maybe faster than the speed of light, before the truth can ever catch up. And that is why I support you, suing anybody who's, if you can, and it's so defamatory, I think you should take them to court and you don't let up at all until they pay and bear the consequences of their lies. And don't talk about freedom of speech. Freedom of speech has boundaries. Eniola did right. Eniola Badmus did right. Because you can't just wake up out of the figment of your imagination. Oh, you're a porn star. Where is the evidence?
I feel like.
Oh, you're a whatever she called her. You are a liar. You just want to get likes. Oh, I will help you.
I feel like a lot of these things, like you said, are just for clickbait. Like you want to be famous, so you attack a famous person, and then people know who you are. I mean, people like Very Dark Man, for example, attacks a lot of famous people, and now he is very famous. So a lot of people are now following his footstep. I'll just pick on somebody random and just say, oh, this is happening, that's happening. And I feel like, for me, it's more like, where do we differentiate between freedom of speech and cyberbullying, where you can actually be persecuted for that.
Bryce, I'm going to answer you with what's trending now.
Okay.
And it is this case of the woman who gave a testimony in church about BSc law, and a pastor or bishop had to interject to say BSc law, no, and then, as it were, she was disgraced.
He asked her, she was given
a testimony, thanking God that she did a degree.
The woman was not very articulate.
Okay.
In fact, she had very bad English, very poor
grammar,
diction. Right. And I think that
he didn't believe her.
He didn't believe her. And I think that it's because of the story that came from, there was this story earlier in the month that talked about somebody that gave a testimony of a child with 2 kidneys, all right? And, and it was the same church, same pastor, and that issue is still on, where people are trying to verify if that story is true. And I think out of the sensitivity of that, he wanted to be sure that this woman was saying the truth, and he tried to probe her and asked, what is the degree that you are given for studying law? And the woman had maybe anxiety or something.
Anxiety, she was on stage.
Said BSc, although she corrected herself after, but
she did.
He then
he just attacked her and called her a liar
and
everything and all that.
So he should be cancelled.
And for me, really, this is where I think that we should draw the line.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so there is a difference, in my opinion, between defamatory comments and just offering an opinion.
Yes.
All right? One is a crime.
It's okay. You don't have to.
One is a crime, all right? And one, at worst, could be a mistake. Maybe you said something and all that, and somebody looks at it differently. The idea of the council culture actually came from a very noble point. It wasn't initially negative. It's not the way it has been used. If you looked at the advocacy for Floyd, the guy that was suffocated,
by the police
George Floyd, in the U.S. and all that, and the effort to get corporate brands to
join
the advocacy
The
because it
council,
was
you're
a
not
bigger
joining.
picture.
Yeah.
You know, so the idea of the council culture there was really an advocacy. But like everything good in our society, when people have that power, they have the tendency of overreaching on it.
Yes.
And I think that's where we need to be able to draw the line there. What we see here a lot in Nigeria, you know, in attempts to defame, attempts to draw down, I mean, blacklist people,
Yes.
it's really not council culture as it is.
Yeah.
It's just defamatory behavior. It's a crime.
What happened to Mercy Chinwo was defamation. Okay,
character, yeah.
it wasn't cancel culture. It was cyberbullying. It wasn't country. It was not even freedom of speech. It was defamation. It was libelous. That is the legal term for it. So I need to put that aside. Cancel culture, digital, what they call cancel culture in digital media, is the equivalent of boycott. No, boycott, right? So if you remember, and you may not, you might be too young, and I'm not trying to.
There we go.
No, I'm not trying
I
to.
know what boycott
No,
is,
hold
man.
on, honestly.
I can't
No,
say-
honestly,
I
I'm trying.
can't say-
No, Bright, I'm serious. I'm not trying to.
That's fine,
I'm
fine.
not trying to
I get
belittle
it.
you.
I get it.
I promise you.
fine.
It wasn't about your age. It's that back in the days when we all stood up against apartheid, those of us in the UK would actually boycott brands. That was the equivalent
Of
of
cancel culture.
cancel culture.
Yes.
When people criticize James Ibori, I say to them, James Ibori is the only politician that I know that was accused of a crime and he has done his time. So leave the man. Many have not done their time, even though they have been accused of their crime. What you tend to find with society is where the society believes somebody is guilty, right? But they've never been tried, prosecuted, and sentenced to jail. Society tends to not want them near. Brands do not want to associate with Chris Brown. And if a marketing director, you own a company, do you want your brand associated with somebody that is known as a woman batterer? It's your choice.
There is a gender component to it as well, which I don't want us to lose. And this is real for guys. And I'm speaking as a guy here. I mean, I've seen what men have to go through in the workspace, for instance, just because a female may raise an accusation. And whether or not that accusation is true or whether it's proven, immediately there's a process put in place. I've watched a colleague, for instance, who was accused of sexual harassment, all right, and before he could be exonerated, it took about 3 months. It carried that tour guy in the office, even though it wasn't said, but it was there.
It's not for us on this table to answer those questions. It's for the society to really, because it's about you guys, right? At what point, guys, do we say, okay, this person don't try? You know, he's been ostracized from society, no jobs, no food. His family is suffering. He has tried. Let's forgive him.
Just off of that, I have a little song. You've got to try a little kindness. Show a little kindness. Just shine a light for everyone to see. Speaking of live, I love her. Speaking of live and let live, some are excluded from occupying the social space you speak of, Bright. Inclusion is indeed a verb. A verb is a word that describes what the subject of a sentence is doing. Verbs can indicate physical or mental actions, occurrences, and states of being. Today, I felt less than human, like a guard dog not allowed into the house, lonely and isolated. Those were the words of Adebola Daniel. Let's forget about who his father is in the scheme of things. His fate is like that of millions of Nigerians living with some form of disability or the other, the deaf, blind, albinos, those on the autism spectrum, etc. A fate they face every day of their existence in this country. Whose son he was only brought it to the fore, to the limelight. What of those who don't have a name, for lack of a better word? I dare say that KFC is not the only guilty party in this behavior of not regarding anyone else who is not whole or normal. Again, please excuse my words. With the exception of a few crusading individuals like Dotun Akonde of Patrick's speech, Daisy Jonathan Modupe Odefa, who have set up private education centers, our society as a whole, from government institutions to corporate organizations to individuals, have neither room nor patience to accommodate those who are physically challenged or living with disability. How many of our government buildings, corporate as well, have wheelchair access? Let's start from there. What of transportation? The mass transit buses in our different states. How easy is it for these people to use the services? I once walked into a bank abroad to make a transaction, and I could see right in front of the teller a sticker for a walking stick holder. A walking stick holder. So when you get to the teller to write, you place your walking stick there. I felt that was so thoughtful. It is indeed in the little things, and that is how mindsets are changed, and a society is shaped to include everyone. That one is living with any form of disability does not exclude them from contributing positively to the society. And how a society treats its most vulnerable is always the measure of humanity. And that is a quote from Ambassador Matthew Reichert of the UK mission to the UN. We all can definitely do better. And I mean it, all of us.
Thank you, Kate. It's very emotional for me, your piece, especially when you mentioned Dotun Akonde. When we as parents, young parents, when we had our son, and we discovered at the age of 3 that he was displaying autistic behaviors, we went everywhere. We couldn't find solutions. One of the places we went to were government institutions, and they couldn't help us. And the one institution that helped us, or the one person that helped us, was Dotun Akonde. Yes. And I still remember today, when I walked into our office, and we had this child, we didn't know what was going on with him. And, the first thing she said to us was, "Can we pray?"
Oh.
And I saw a woman that understood my issues and challenges, and she gave us professional help that helped us in the situation. And today, that 3-year-old boy is now a 17-year-old boy who speaks 3 languages.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
And is going places. And it pains me because when I shared the story of my son about 7 years ago, a lot of people came figuratively out of the closet to tell me about their son, their daughter, dealing with this. Some of them have actually locked up these children with disabilities in the home because they couldn't face the stigma. So we as a society, we have to be more inclusive. We have to understand that, disability is not a disease.
That's right.
Okay, it is actually just a state of being.
For me, again, this is also, as Yinka said, emotional for me because I work with girls and I have the sanitary pad media campaign. We reach out to girls in secondary schools. One of the people I work with has an organization for people with disabilities. She reaches out to them. So we took the campaign to Cheshire High School in Ibadan. You find indigenous children there, you find those with disabilities there as well. It was when I got there that it occurred to me even deeper, at a deeper level, that look, we seldom think about people like this, people with disabilities, and how they cope with lack of menstrual items. I wrote a petition on change.org asking people to, consider this, and as in your words, consider inclusion in all that we do. I'm going to leave it there because I'm getting emotional now.
So here's the thing. I mean, we cannot keep getting emotional because if you all make me cry, they'll have to do this beautiful makeup again. So we're not going to cry. I live with a disability. It shocks you all. So I get it. And I don't want to be called physically challenged. I am disabled. That's what it is. I was born with 2 bad knees. It is what it is. I was born with 2 bad knees, and they used to call me Shubu-Sherry and whatever. And it's a degenerative disease, gets progressively, and it's developed into whatever. So here's the foolishness that you deal with. So I get somewhere, and there is no lift, and I've got to go onto the 5th floor. And some I look at it and my sex. Oh, but it's good exercise. I'm like, because did I tell you I don't get exercise? Everybody has a form of disability. That's Not right. all disabilities are visible.
And every single person, like you said, is disabled somehow. But some of them are visible, some of them are not. Growing up, I had 2 disabilities. The first one was I couldn't speak properly. I couldn't get words out of my mouth. If I'm angry, you won't hear what I'm saying.
But you're a stutterer.
Yeah. Right? Second, I wouldn't say, I wasn't the smartest in class because I learned better with visuals than with words. It was so bad that I passed one time very well. I think I was in GSS2. And my dad did not believe that was my result. So I passed that year, and then I got home, dropped up my report card, and I went to sleep because my dad always comes back late at night.
You're woken up with a
beating. I was woken up with belts. Like this guy, pa, 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 and I didn't understand. I kept asking, what did I do? What did I do? I was telling my sister, what did I do? Nobody told me anything. He didn't tell me anything. He didn't say why or what I did.
Wow.
He just whooped my ass and left me. Guess when I found out?
When?
School resumed. For the first time. Remember, he doesn't even take me to school. He drove me to school. Drove me to school, went to my teacher and said, I doctored this result. How on earth will I pass like this? My teacher looked at him and I was like, what are you talking about? He said, he doctored his result. Like, I added marks on my result. My teacher said, no, he didn't. He passed.
Dramatic. Sorry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My dad did not do that to me because he hated me. Of course not. He wanted the best for me. He felt like maybe he didn't have the understanding. He didn't know better. And that's where we need to draw the line, where we're able to create this awareness and let people understand. Because if you don't know, how would you be able to create a structure that will support people like this in schools, in workplaces, in marketplaces? People do not know.
Amazing.
Well, we're proud of you, Brian.
Oh, gosh.
It's amazing how conversations can, lead to memories, and memories hopefully will lead to us healing. We definitely can do better, so we must continue to strive for this better life. My sister Ireti of the Chicken Dynasty will be telling us what she's pushing for. She's up next.
Yes, Kate, I'm certainly pushing against cyberbullying, which Bright touched on earlier. I'll be talking about Idris Olayewaju Okuneye, aka Bob Risky. The topic of my advocacy today is called the dystopia called Nigeria. So it is no longer news that Bob Risky was arrested on the 3rd of March for currency mutilation and money laundering. She was arraigned, convicted, and sentenced to 6 months in prison for mutilation of the naira. It happened at such speed that confirmed what our judiciary can actually do and how fast they can move should they wish to. See, today, for this week's advocacy, I was torn between addressing the criminalization of currency called spraying, which actually is a traditional practice of the Yoruba people with an etymology that dates back to the days of Owo Eyo. Yes, the days before the Oyimbos could make their way to Nigeria. But I'm going to save that for another day. Why? Because I'm driven by humanity. So here we are, at an ugly junction where the majority has been co-opted into what can only be described as nationwide cyberbullying. Nigeria's dystopian mentality is stripping the citizens of empathy. You see, Bobrisky is a cross-dresser entertainer with a female alter ego, and she is transgender, but she is in the process of transgendering. She is not the first cross-dresser in Nigeria, neither will she be the last. So you see, the moment Bobrisky was sentenced to 6 months and it was announced in the press, I was immediately gripped with fear for her safety and well-being in prison. Primarily because, let's be honest, Bobrisky is a cause celeb that's controversial for the rest of you. So, however, the subsequent promise from the Nigerian prison service that they would look after her, for me, was more hollow than a discarded pure water nylon. However, I am no fan of Bob's work or her personality, but I am a firm believer that each person deserves their happy, as long as they are not causing harm to another or stealing from our commonwealth. Yet, correct me if I'm wrong, never, and I repeat, never have I witnessed such unprecedented level of cyberbullying on the national scale since Bob was arrested. It is beyond our conservative moral judgment culture. No. It is on a form and it's on par with an indoctrinated form of hatred. An indoctrination and a level of hatred that should concern us all. You see, the deafening decibels of derision, humiliation, and dehumanization of a fellow citizen is one that I personally would not wish on my worst enemy. Then, as if the opprobrium was not harmful enough, the Nigerian prison service revved up the gear by releasing a statement to confirm the genitalia of their newest inmate. And worse still, even senior journalists on primetime morning TV joined that repulsive bandwagon to echo in the mockery. What a country. You see, Bob's acerbic tongue and boastful mouth are part of the colors of her lifestyle and entertainment value. The same entertainment value that gained her 5 million followers on Instagram, for which she is able to charge handsomely as a brand influencer. So while I respect your prerogative to detest her as it might bother your waters, I'd like you to remember this. You cannot create her. So, now that the national degradation of Idris Olanrewaju is complete, I hope those who cheered, justified, rejoiced at the deprecation and objectification of another soul, including the Nigerian prison service, are fully satisfied. You see, I will continue to pray for Bob to get an early release, especially as she is a first-time offender who also pleaded guilty. But I'm going to leave you with this. Injustice is that rod that's used to crucify one citizen while cooling gently in the freezer for the next citizen. So you see, eventually, we all pay the price, one way or the other.
All of us go chop this breakfast.
Yes.
How do you think this one?
Everybody. Everybody go shop breakfast.
There's a difference between what is happening to her now, and probably what is, maybe happening to the Cubana chief priest. And the difference was that she pled guilty to the crime. They charged her with two crimes. I think the money laundering one and the mutilation. They dropped
They dropped the money laundering.
maybe through a plea deal. They dropped the money laundering, and she pled guilty to the mutilation. And because she basically saved the time of the court, or or the prosecution, the sentencing was faster and all that.
George Orwell's Animal Farm comes to mind.
Some animals, all animals are equal.
Yeah, but some are more equal than
others.
others. I believe that as a first-time offender, and because you said it dates back to spraying on the street, shutting down streets for parties, Yoruba culture, and then this Naira, it's my currency, it's our currency.
And it's what you earn.
I don't have any other currency. There's no mutilation. The people stealing it are mutilating inside their pockets. We have not yet sent them to jail. He
Absolutely
should have been given community service.
Thank you.
First time offender.
I agree.
It's okay.
Who pled guilty?
Like you said, if you don't plead guilty, you are saving time.
You're saving
You are
time.
not harming anybody. Community service, go and work somewhere, clean somewhere. 2 months.
Anti-spraying
It's okay.
ambassador.
Jail. It's too much of trying to make a point. And then you're going to lose people along the way.
3 things that I'm going to point out in your advocacy, Ireti. The first is that everyone deserves their happy, valid. Everyone deserves their happy. And we shouldn't, to be honest, we shouldn't victimize people because they're different from us. That's number 1. Number 2, the thing you said about alter ego. Yes, indeed, because I know that I also have an alter ego. So I can relate. I really, really can relate.
Who's your alter ego?
I'm not saying.
She's ashamed of her alter ego.
But you know that
Maybe it's a machine.
Because nobody knows
what
it
you did at
yet.
the end,
Yeah,
right?
but the truth is, to leave that there. The third one is spraying the Naira. And Ireti, you're right.
Yes.
It's a cultural tradition in Yoruba land, which we celebrate. It's a way of expressing you're happy.
Yeah.
But this is where I differ from Case. Every good thing can be abused. This idea of throwing it at people, or turning it into a mat on the floor, and people are stepping on it, and that is devaluing the Naira.
And I agree absolutely. And I'm speaking as a Yoruba man.
Yeah.
And not just a Yoruba man from Shagamu,
Thank you.
Ijebu,
Ijebu.
yes. So it's very much part of our culture. But where I draw the line is the level to which it has become not just a debasement, but a status symbol. The law doesn't stop you from spraying. What the law...
Can they clarify? Is it true?
They haven't clarified, but I get what you can.
The law doesn't... What the law talks about is mutilation.
Yes.
All right?
I feel like we have a lot of misplaced priority in this country.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to see it. That's how I'm going to see it, because it doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying
it's okay. I get
that it's okay to break the law.
Please,
right?
Yes.
I'm saying if I am an organization and I have a particular kind of resources, right, and my job is to hold people accountable for things that they're not supposed to do, I would focus their resources on something tangible that really has way higher impact in society. Come on, man. Let's think about it. How much resources does EFCC have? How much resources does the police have? How much resources does the army have?
That's
that we're using our resources to be doing that. When we have a lot of present, future, and past politicians stealing so much money.
Oh, hallelujah.
But about the person that's spraying it.
Hallelujah.
For real, though. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? What is this about? see, if Nigeria, please, if Nigeria can
Talk to the camera, let them hear you.
arrest just 2 politicians and persecute them, put them in jail, and see if Nigeria will not change. Just 2.
Kékeré Ìjẹ̀bú o. I need to dance. Kékeré Ìjẹ̀bú o. Owó ni àgbà Ìjẹ̀bú o.
That's a good answer.
Look, I love this show, and I hope you do too. We do all kind of crazy things, but you know what? I'm literally going to say, and I'm going to put this out there, we are better than those National Assembly people. Because why? What do? We discuss, we debate, and although we probably disagree and don't often see eye to eye, we come at it with a passion, a love, and a care for our society and our country called Nigeria. So join us next week at the same table where we'll be talking fresh topics and discussions. Until then, bye.